All right, so now I'm going to show you how to draw a chair using the rules of 2-point linear perspective. I'm going to be working off this drawing of a chair that I made, but the progression that I'm going to share with you now, you could use observationally, citing from space, and then translating those measurements and applying the rules of perspective. On the other hand, you could use this progression to invent a chair that's really convincing, or another object using the rules of 2-point perspective, and add it to your environment drawing that you've already been working on, and have it feel like it fits right in and looks illusionistically spatial as seen by a human's perspective. So either way, I think it could be an easy and useful approach for you. So let's go. I'm going to start by sort of treating it as if I'm observing this chair in space and translating the measurements onto my page, using a process much like we've been using for the rest of our site size drawings. So I'm not looking out in space like I did in the last demo video. We can pretend that I am. All right, here I go. So I'm going to start with a few sighted measurements of this chair. This process should feel familiar. I'm going to also, just to make it easy to know what I'm measuring, I'm just going to number these chair legs. They're going to be the points that I measure off first. I'm going to say this front one is number 1. We'll put number 2 over here on the left side, and we'll put 3 on the right. My fourth drawn leg is sort of tucked back here, but just keep in mind that that is number 4. All right, here we go. So the first measurement I'm going to make, I'll just sight horizontally with my arm fully extended. I'm going to sight the distance from chair leg number 1 to the foot of chair leg number 2. So I'm going to just sort of center that, pin with the end of the measuring stick at chair leg number 1, and pinch at the foot base of chair leg number 2. I'm marking it on my measuring stick, and now I'm going to drop it onto my picture plane so you can see it. I'll put it just below. It should be okay. So tick mark for chair leg number 1, tick mark for number 2. I'm gonna extend these lines just a little bit to suggest that they're chair legs. Okay. All right, the next distance I'm going to measure is from chair leg number 1 to chair leg number 3. So we're moving over to the right side. Elbow locked. Remember, you might want to just verify your previous measurement before pulling over, just so you have your bearings. They look nearly evenly spaced. I'm going to mark that on my measuring stick and drop that down here. Tuck that in just a little bit more, and I'm going to extend that up with a vertical line. Okay, all right, the next thing I'm going to do, another familiar process at this point, is I'm going to sight the angles that I observe, sort of implied stretching to connect chair foot number 1 to number 2. We'll start over on the left. All right, so with my measuring stick fully extended, I'm just going to start sort of pinching at foot number 2, rotate out in space, making sure I'm not projecting, like a hand on the clock until I match that angle. And then carefully moving that measuring stick down and marking that position on my drawing. I'll just do it as a tick mark for now, and then use a ruler to extend that angle up. Pretty good. All right. Repeat the process as I move over to the right to that implied angle that occurs between foot number 1 and foot number 3. Now, this is important because we are observing perspective. We're observing skewing that occurs because of the way our eyes function, the way they place, really how we see. We see our world a bit wonky, and the rules of perspective sort of emulate that distortion so that we can make things look the way we see them. But in real life, these 2 feet sit on the same parallel plane, right in the same parallel line, and those legs are the same length. So I found that angle, pulled it down, over to my drawing, and now I'm going to extend that out. Okay, so you've done a lot of measuring like that so far. I won't labor that a whole lot more, but something to note is I am extending these diagonals that I measured between those legs far beyond the shape of the chair, because what those angles are going to do is they are giving a start of the lines that we will find the vanishing points, which in the rules of perspective, all parallel shapes will recede to their same vanishing point, right? And so that angle is the first angle that we need to start asserting the vanishing points that will help us organize and define the way we use perspective for the rest of the drawing. All right, that'll be the next video.